Well, we already have 30 participants. Welcome everybody who's already here. Bruchim Habayim. We'll get going in a minute or two. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our bi-monthly SPNI webinar. Avi Sadiv is doing back office here with the symbol, the iris of the Chevra L'Agarat HaTeva, Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel. Avi's the man behind the green iris. Lawrence Casimir organizes these webinars. Avi's been doing them with me for quite a while now. I think we're on, I don't know, number 40 or so. And we're continuing. Slow down a little bit over the next month and then the Chagim, but resuming by early October every 2 weeks. Welcome everybody. We're here at the top of the hour. My name is Jay Shofet. Coming to you from my house in Tel Aviv, where the headquarters of the Society for the Protection of Nature are located. Happy to see everyone, be with everyone. Already over 100 participants here on Zoom, and there's always a couple dozen that show up on Facebook from all over the world. So welcome, and please, in the chat feature, you can let us know that you're here, where you're from. Any thoughts of the day? Hello, and save questions if you can for the speaker, Meidad, into the Q&A feature on Zoom. That would help. And Meidad will, you'll speak for 40, 45 minutes or so, and then we'll do some questions and answers. If there's a crucial question or something we all don't understand, I'll interrupt you, but otherwise, I'll try not to interrupt you. So wow, people are coming in from everywhere. Shalom, shalom. Wow, Norway. Haven't seen Norway much, or if at all. But Ossining and Sheffield and Albuquerque and other places around the globe. Springfield, Oregon. I know Springfield, Massachusetts well, but Ottawa. Just met somebody from Ottawa today. Welcome, welcome everybody. So I think we'll get going. I'm Jay Shofet with SPNI. Happy to be with you this night here in Israel, morning in the west coast of the US, and afternoon and evening throughout the rest of the kind of the world that we get to mostly. Every once in a while we have somebody from Australia, and I only can figure out what time it is there if I look on a clock or something. But we have a really interesting, exciting webinar tonight. Another one on birding, but this one a little more specific, and I think it's going to be different. Meidad Gorin is with us. Meidad did a webinar, I don't know, months ago. I think in the early time of COVID. It was, as I recall, one of our better received and attended. I remember not being a birder myself, being very interested in everything Meidad had to say. Meidad is our director of the Birding Center in Ramat Negev. That's the Negev Plateau, big chunk of the Negev that he's in charge of the birding from under Birdlife Israel, which is part of SPNI. It used to be called the Israel Ornithological Center. Meidad has been with us with the Birdlife Israel for 10 years, worked in Birdlife South Africa before that, and will show us the top birding spots in his neck of the woods and how to get to them. We're happy to welcome everybody here. Meidad will give it maybe just another minute. We're already up to 150 people, but still growing. So we'll just give it another minute. I'll thank everybody for being here. And I want to thank our hardworking board members, our volunteers in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, and in France. A couple of hardworking professionals as well. Avi is one of them, back office here, and Robin Gordon in New York. But we are excited to welcome everybody from all over. And it's been a tough week in the environment all over. You know, in the States, the wildfires out west have been, as usual, huge and growing. Friends of mine in upstate New York were posting the pictures of the moon being pink this week, and people in Boulder were saying that the fires were right near their homes that were showing pink moons in the east. And the floods in Germany and really crazy weather all over the world. The heat dome in the United States was crazy. Also unprecedented in temperatures in the Northwest and in British Columbia, or just really out of this world. And it's a big reminder of what the globe is telling us. Here in Israel, though, things are looking up in terms of our environmental work and movement. I've written about it, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about that as well. But our new environmental minister and a few important members of Knesset, there's a new recognition of the environment here. There'll be a climate change law enacted for the first time, and we're very excited about a lot that's going on here in the environment. Not everything, but there's hope on the horizon, and in the United States too. We look to the U.S. with hopeful eyes. And Irius, our CEO, will hopefully be going to Glasgow in early November for the UN Climate Change Conference, another important milestone. And we are excited to be part of the change. But right now, we're going to concentrate on birding in the Negev. Birding conservation is so crucial to our core business. Birds are harbingers, and really the traditional canaries in the coal mine, but the canaries are all the birds in the world, and the coal mine is our entire world. So we have to pay close attention. And that's what Medad does. I think for a living and for a vote, for a shlichut, for a calling as well. So Medad, thank you very much. 6 minutes after the hour, we're up to close to 170 people already. Happy to be with you, and take it away.
Thanks, Jay. Hello, everybody. Nice to see some of you again, though I can't really see you, but I know you're there, so it's really nice. Here from my home in Klachim, which is in the North Negev. I was asked to talk about some of the great birding sites that we have here in the Negev, and that will be the item of my talk tonight. So we will go through a journey together in the Negev, with the purpose of highlighting some of the best birding spots, birding sites in the Negev, getting to know a little bit about the birds that you can see there. Obviously, we can't go through the hundreds of species that we can find in the Negev, but we will try to look at some of the sort of more important or more iconic birds that, that people come from all over the world to come to see in the Negev. So I will just, so I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope it will take, as Jay said, 45 minutes. Might be a little bit longer, but I'll try to speed up. And for that, we'll have to go quicker through the sites. But I'll just share the screen, and okay. Is that okay, Jay? Can you assure me that everybody sees that?
Yes, that's fine.
Excellent. So just get it to work. All right. So basically, that's the item. Tour through the main birding sites of the Negev Desert. Some of you might know that there's the Negev Desert. Some of you might have visited here, and some of you might have not. So just to know what the Negev is, first of all, before I go, just sort of like a quick line. I will try to say the name of all the birds that appear in the talk. All the photographs were taken by me. Some of those who are not, I will try to mention that as well. Just maybe before that, a little bit about myself. I've been a keen birder since my childhood. Grew up in the north of Israel, actually, in the Kinneret, near the Kinneret Lake, Sea of Galilee, where my passion for birds sort of was born there. And later on, I moved to the Negev Desert independently, studying in an environmental high school, boarding school in Sde Boker, where I got to know the birds of the Negev and the Negev itself, and fell in love with it. And ever since, I sort of go back and forth in and out from the Negev. Did a bit of a break in South Africa for 6 years, where I worked with seabirds, and then came back here in 2011, and since there I've been directing the birding center in Ramat Negev. So these two charming little birds on the north are hoopoe-lark, greater hoopoe-lark on top, and pin-tailed sandgrouse, and we'll mention them a little bit later. So the Negev, the first time, as far as I know, that the Negev was mentioned in the Bible is when Abraham actually entered the country, and he entered the country, Israel at the time, Canaan, from the north, and was pushed probably to the south, where less people inhabit the area. So that the Negev, the desert, is obviously the place where it's harsh to live and less people live it. And we know that. But what is the Negev? What is the Negev exactly? There's no specific definition for the Negev, but we like to address it as the line that goes basically lower than 200 millimeters. So where the rainfall, the annual average rainfall is less than 200 millimeters, we basically treat it as a desert, as a proper desert. And you can see here, if you don't read Hebrew, that is Beersheba, Dimona, Sodom, and the Dead Sea. So anything that is less, that is south and east and drier than this line, we basically treat it as the desert. Not all of it is a Negev desert, so we gave names to some parts of the Negev, and we get to know it as far as we get along with the talk. But we'll basically, if you can see the cursor, we'll try to do a nice tour around the Negev and end in the Dead Sea. We won't obviously invade Elat area, because that's Noam Weissen's territory, and I don't want to steal his thunder. And I hope that you have managed to listen to him, hear his talks, and I'm sure that you will have an opportunity for that. And it's a completely different story, and I recommend it. So let's start. That's the map that we will basically follow. That will let us basically keep track of where we're going. This is a photo that I took January last year. Or this year actually, January this year, in the northern Negev, in that area where we have this nice 4-wheel drive that will escort and take us through the Negev, because the Negev, most of the areas in the Negev are hard to reach. Although today you can easily bird with you don't have 4-wheel drive you don't need 4-wheel drive to see everything. It just helps you. And these are cranes, common cranes, that winter in the Negev, and especially in the southern parts of the country. We find them here in the western Negev, and this is where we're going to start. So most of you, when you land in the country, you land here in the center, near Tel Aviv, in the Ben Gurion Airport, and then you just drive not much more than an hour and a half, and you'll find yourself here in the northwestern Negev. So if we are ready, let's go. Let's start the trip. We have reached here the northwestern Negev, just to let you know where we are, basically compared to places that you might know. This is Gaza Strip here, well-known area, not always for good reasons, but it's quite safe to bird here. Not quite, it's safe to bird here when obviously everything is going right. So we'll start here. The best time to come usually to this area is the winter. And why is that? Because then birds like this, like the dotterel, Chofami arava, winters here. So this charming little bird that arrives here wearing its winter plumage arrives from the tundra in the north and doing a vast migration trip, and prefer this sort of plain habitat and spends all the winter here. This is a bird that a lot of birders seek to see, and will spend a good, let's say, Had a couple of times a flat tire just to reach the area where you can find them. But if you do find this flock, you can sometimes count more than 100 birds in the same flock, like soldiers. It's a pretty bird, and this is basically this bird found in the natural habitat. Now, a lot of these areas in the northwestern Negev, since it's based on a less soil, the less soil is a very specific soil that that you find mainly in the northern parts of the Negev and the central parts of the Negev. It's a very rich soil, but also very, very, very preferred by agriculture. So a lot of these lands basically turned into fields, and that changed a lot. That basically means that the dotterel has less places to reach, but birds like this sociable lapwing, Kivit lakanit, find the fields very, very, very hospitable. So they like this kind of grass. And the sociable lapwing has a very, very interesting story, which I recommend you just Google and read through. This bird it's called sociable lapwing because it was seen during mainly the 19th century in the tens of thousands, huge flocks that winter in India. It used to breed not in the yellow range, but much, much western and eastern than that. But it shrank, the population shrank. And sometimes in the 80s and 90s of the last century, scientists already all of a sudden discovered that there's hardly any. And they were estimated to be, the population of this bird was estimated to be about 250 birds. So obviously it was immediately described as a critically endangered species, and a lot of efforts were put into finding what's the deal. The species was found to have two main migrating routes. One is the western, and one is the eastern. The eastern to India, and the western to East Africa, and some countries in the Arab or Saudi Arabia and the Arabian Peninsula. And you can see this little dot here, where Israel is. And some plovers do winter here in Israel. It was an enigma what happened, and basically it got to do with a lot of politics changes within the Soviet Union, where the main population breed. And then now the research basically points that one of the reasons that we see a reduction in the population now is because of killing and hunting along the migration, especially in the western route, in basically hunting when this bird is migrating. So it's a really interesting story. I won't go through all of it, obviously, because it's long, but I recommend reading it. But the northwestern Negev, the Urim fields that we will go, I'll mention the site name later, is probably the best place in Israel to see this bird. Usually there's a flock of 10 to 15, 16 birds that winter and can be found there all along winter. The fields are also home for some of the rarest birds that we find in Israel. One of them is this falcon, which is called Saker falcon, Baz Tzedim. The Saker falcon's got also a story, an interesting story. It's one of the favorite birds for falconry, hunting with birds. And mainly in the east, our easterly neighbors like to hunt with this bird, train it and hunt McQueen's bustard. This bird here, the Chubara midbarit. And it's one of the reasons that this bird is also endangered, because people steal eggs or steal chicks or steal even birds, trap them and sell them for their falconry uses. And in this area, we have the last, really just usually there's a nice population of the sakers that come here. They come to hunt all these birds, all these small birds, starlings, zarzirim, and skylarks, mainly all kind of passerines, songbirds that come to the fields. The fields basically offer amazing food opportunity for a lot of the birds, of the small birds, and these are obviously food for the bigger birds. So the Saker is probably, this is probably only also the main place, best place in Israel to see this, the biggest falcon that you can find in Israel, and one of the biggest that you can find in our region.
Medad,
yeah.
Excuse me for interrupting you. The pictures have been somewhat blurry on and off. I'm wondering if maybe you turn off your own video, it would help. Or if you can think of anything else you can do to improve the quality.
I didn't do anything specifically. Is that with everyone? It's that everybody.
Well, a lot of people have commented. It's been on and off for me. Right now, it's very blurry, for example.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Now it's better. Now it's better. I mean, maybe if you turn off your video, though, can you do that?
My video?
Yeah.
How do I do that? Because it's not on.
Start video. I think it must be. Maybe you can't do that while you're showing the screen. Like I'm not on now. Down at the bottom left, do you not have a start video next to your mute?
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that better?
Well, maybe. I don't know. Well, it was okay for me right this second, so I don't know.
Okay, how's it now?
Go to the next slide. It's blurry for me.
Blurry?
Blurry.
I don't know what to say about
Signal
that.
issues.
Hmm?
Ilana Stein says it's signal issues, but I don't know if you can deal with that.
Medad.
Yeah.
I think it's your internet connection, but maybe you can try to stop sharing and start the share again.
Okay, I'll do that. How's that? Still blurry?
That's a better.
Better.
Better? Okay. Well, let me know if it happens again. Just give me a shout. I'll do it again. Sorry about that. Should be the first time it happened, so I'm not really sure what the reason for that is. Should we go continue?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So basically, we're still in the northwestern Negev, and we are going to leave this place soon, but we can't do it without seeing some of the iconic birds, such as this Eastern Imperial Eagle, H. Shemesh, which also comes in the quite large numbers in relation to other parts of the country. Merlin, Baz Gamadi, and Caspian plover, Hofami Asia, which is much, much rarer, but this winter gave a really, really nice show in one of the natural habitats that we find in this area. So really cool birds that you can find, most of them as easy as can be, and in the biggest numbers that you can find in Israel. So this is the most important, and I repeat, the best place to come here is in the winter, and some of the sites that you might want to remember as good sites to visit are Rim Fields, Re'im Reservoir, the Les Park, and the Soul Reservoir. If you want, obviously you can read it, you can write these names and later on investigate a little bit, and you can always obviously contact us, and we give all the information that is required. Now we will continue south, and we will visit this area. This is a very, very special area. I'm going there tomorrow, actually. This is the Nitzana region, and it's very famous for this little bird, not so little, one of the biggest ground nesting birds that we have, and that's in the Queen's bustard, Hubara midbarit. This bird, as we saw earlier in one of the slides, is a local bird. So it breeds in Israel, it migrates, but it migrates within the boundaries of Israel. So it will spend the non-breeding season in the area that we just visited before, the northwestern Negev. It just walks there. but in Nitzana and in other parts, but in Nitzana, the main concentration of this population, our population, is found. And in springtime, which is the best time to come, we will see the males performing this ritual, this amazing courtship dance. People come from all over the world to when they come to Israel, when they go birding in the Negev, or in Israel in general in spring, every birder will spend at least a day or two in Nitzana, and one of the main purposes is to see this male performing the dance. It's absolutely phenomenal and really nice thing to see. But also some of the iconic birds are these sandgrouse. Kata, this is the crown sandgrouse. This relative of the pigeon is a brilliant flyer and can fly tens of kilometers just to drink. Needs to drink because it feeds on seeds, dry seeds. And what you can see in this photo, you can see the male tipping its feathers, stomach feathers, in the water. Doesn't make sense, right? Because when it flies, now it's much heavier, and it's against all logics. But basically, what it does, the feathers act as sponges, and they basically what it does is carries this water back to his chicks. The chicks wait somewhere in the Negev, in the most isolated parts of the desert, and they are trained to drink from the feathers. It's the only bird, only genus to do that, the sandgrouse. To see that, it's a very rare and hard thing to do because very hard to find the nests. But if you're lucky, you can find it. This crown sandgrouse is one of 4 species of sandgrouse that you can find in Nitzana only, Nitzana alone. One of the only places that you can find these 4 species in Israel. The fifth species is found in Elat, the Liechtenstein sandgrouse in Elat in the southern Arava, and is not really found in Nitzana. So just a quick example, brief through the 4 species of sandgrouse. This is the pin-tailed sandgrouse. I would call it actually golden sandgrouse.
Excuse me, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. People are saying that if you can say the names of the birds, both in English and Hebrew, a little bit clearer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. This is the pin-tailed sandgrouse, Kata Hadat Zanav. The previous bird was crowned sandgrouse, Katat Keter. All of these sandgrouse basically lay 2 to 3 eggs on the ground, and as soon as the chicks are hatched, they will leave the nest and follow the parents. So they won't stay in the nest. This is why it's so hard to find them. This is the black-bellied sandgrouse, Kata Gdola, where you can see here a chicks just had this little drink here. You can see the hole in the chest. That's the male. Female looks a little bit different. This is the biggest sandgrouse that we have here in Israel, and it's mainly found in more rocky habitat and can be found also a little bit north than the Negev. And the 4th species that we have is the spotted sandgrouse, Kata senegalit. And unfortunately, 2 of these species, the pin-tailed sandgrouse and the spotted sandgrouse, are in a decrease in our region. We count them every month. For 6 months a year, we go every month to the same drinking spots where we know that they have to come and drink, and we count them. So we can actually follow the trends, population trends, and in recent years, we see less numbers of these 2 species. And there's a research that has been conducted for the last few years, trying to track these birds and understand the movements and their habitat choice, so we can understand the reasons for the fact that they are decreasing. This research has been done with the cooperation or together with the Nature Parks authorities and the University of Sheva, University of Ben Gurion. And yeah, these are the sangras, but it's not only them that are found here. This beautiful bird, Ratz midbar, cream-colored courser. There's a few coursers in Africa and Asia, and Europe a little bit. And this is it's actually a wader. You can see, for those of you who know a little bit, familiar a little bit with the bird world, you can see that this resembles a plover, long legs, kind of a squarish head, big head, but this is a wader that fled from the sea or from the water and doesn't like the water environment, the wet environment, and got used to live in the desert, in the most hostile areas. It runs fast, gets the food, which are insects, lizards, even small reptiles. It can eat with this quite strong bill. It can chase the food and pick it up. The long legs also enable it to escape the heat of the ground and earn a little bit of cold. Some other birds that are worth mentioning is this Asian desert warbler, Sivchi midbar, which come here in the winter and can be found also in Nitzana. And this desert wheatear, Salit midbar, when the wheatears will be the stars of our next stop. But this bird is also in good numbers in this area. It's nice. The males are really good looking birds. The wheatears usually found perching on this on small low bushes and looking for food from this height. There's not much, obviously, items that you can sit on and search and scan the environment, because there's not a lot of bushes in the area. It's still a desert, not a lot of trees, just small bushes, but it's enough for them. Just a small quick stop. Can everybody still, do you see and hear me properly?
Yes, we see and hear you clearly. Sometimes the bird names escapes people.
Okay.
But that's fine. It's much better than before. Thank you.
Okay, so it's a Salit midbar, desert wheat ear. I will try to say it a little bit slower. Okay, the last one, as far as I remember from this this area, this spot from Nitzana, is this beautiful quail. The quail is not, and I put it here not because it's an sort of like typical bird for this environment. Usually the quail just migrate through Israel and nest in very, very small numbers. It's a very rare breeder, but it's quite well known from the last 2 years, because it was the flag species for our fight against hunting in Israel. And last year, when the rains was the rainfall was really, really good, spread out beautifully in the region, and everything was green. A lot of the quails that migrated through the desert just found it suitable for them to stop here and breed. And that's an example of how birds can adopt to new conditions. And this is really a typical desert thing. The desert is unpredictable. And as soon as this quail found that the environment is good for breeding, enough vegetation cover, it just stopped and bred, and gives us a lot of hope. And for us, it was beautiful to see this kind of phenomenon. So the breeding site in this area are three main sites. Hubara Hide, which is the railway wagon, which we turned into a bird hide that you can sit, and with the aid of telescope, you must have a telescope because they're quite distant, you can watch the queen bustard display. Celia's Sangras Hide is a special place to see sangras come to drink, and it's very recommended. And the Maritime Grove, which is a brilliant place to come and see migrating birds. So we are leaving Nitzana and continuing south, and we're climbing up mountains. We're going to the Negev mountain area. This is where we are now. It's based in the sort of center part of the Negev. And the habitat there is rocky, much higher. So the latitude there can reach up to 1,000 meters above sea level, 1,000 meters above sea level. So everything is changed. There's more rainfall, so birds can rely more on water. Birds such as this Salit livnat kanaf, morning whittier, relative of the desert whittier that we just saw earlier. A typical bird for this region. Lesser short-toed lark, Fonan ktsar etzbaot, that you can see here singing, also likes to be found. This bird is, it likes to hang up around sort of like low vegetated areas in the Negev mountain and a little bit in north. This is an endangered species as well, and quite rare in Israel. So birders who want to dip this or to tick this bird, there's some really cool places that not a lot of people are familiar with, and we can always, we are very happy to show people this bird. Other birds that rely on water, especially birds that eat seeds, birds such as this trumpeter finch on the left, this one, trumpeter finch is a Chatzotzran midbar, these two, and in the middle, Drorit Titzrat Etzbaot, pear rock sparrow or hill sparrow, two names. These two are the same but different. They eat seeds, they need water. This picture was taken in Lot's cisterns, which is old cistern, sort of that a group of cisterns, water holes that were built probably 4,000 years ago by the local settlers and remained almost as they were. They were, some of them were still kept on by, maintained by the local people who lived there, but they were built 1,000 years ago and still collect water. So if there's good rain, these holes, water holes, these cisterns will fill with water. And then we'll see two things. We'll see that the local trumpeter finch here, when the year is good and the cisterns are full, you got just thousands of them all over the place. They wait for the right moment and they just breed once or twice, and they produce as many chicks as they can. And this hill sparrow is sort of like taking an advantage of it. So now if you go in summer or in even in winter, you won't see this bird around. But what they do is they fly in flocks all the time. They're checking the situation. And if it's good, if there's water and there's good vegetation, food to feed the chicks, they will land and breed. It's more or less like the quail, but they do it on a regular basis. So usually we know if there was good rains, then this bird will breed here. Another visitor, rare visitor, but likes the mountains as well, is this wall creeper. Wall creeper, kotli, בעברית. This beautiful bird is very, very rare and found only in one place in the Negev so far. It's very hard to find it. It's very easy to miss it. But this bird is a winter visitor from Europe, and probably from Europe.
Meidad, I'm sorry. Your image is again very blurry.
Okay.
Oh, it's coming into focus. I think it's your internet connection. It's a little bit too slow.
There's not much I can do. I actually sit here next to the internet, and if it's something
now, it's okay now. It's okay.
Okay, now. Cool. Okay, so I'll do it quick so the internet won't escape. So that's a wall creeper, and the nice story about it is that we haven't had a wall creeper in the Negev for almost 30 years. And it wasn't seen anyway in the Negev. And then about 3 years ago, while guiding a pair of nice Americans, I spotted one, and it spent a couple of weeks in the same area. Probably a lot of birders from all over the country came to see it. And then obviously it was gone, but the next year it came back again, and the following year it came back again. So we're getting close to winter and very, very much waiting for this lovely bird to come and visit us again. And what it does, wall creeper, it's called wall creeper because it actually creeps and climbs on the rocks and on these small creeks and holes in the rock. They're looking for food, spiders, insects that they can find and dig with this longish tail. Sorry, bill. Three other really iconic birds of this area, which also offers great deal of cliffs, as not as Nitzana, which is a large sort of plain area. The Negev mountain offers huge cliffs. If you visited Machtesh Ramon, then you know what I'm talking about. And this is what raptors, birds of prey, needs. This is the golden eagle, Aitzaov, golden eagle, the same species you have in the United States and Europe. We have a very southerly population, and most of it, not most of it actually, all of it, all the golden eagles in Israel are found in the desert. And they need cliffs to breed, to build a huge nest and large prey. So they feed on hares, they feed on even foxes, small mammals, small birds. This is an amazing hunter, used to breed, to feed also on tortoise. They catch the tortoise and they just threw it from the air and feed on what's left of the poor animal. Another raptor is this Egyptian vulture, Racha midbari. This is a bird that I remember in really large numbers when I was younger. Also breeds on cliffs. Used to breed in the north and the south. Now most of the population breeds in the south of the country. We have probably between 40 to 50 pairs left in the country. This bird is a migrate, so it migrates and spend the winter in East Africa, in Sudan mainly, and then comes back here. Most of them, some of them continue north. This bird is a scavenger, feeds on dead animals mainly, but it is known to be quite a smart animal. They learn how to use tools, for example, and they know how to break an ostrich egg when they are in Africa by throwing a stone at it, and then using this very sharp and thin bill to open the cracks in the eggs and then have a nice omelette, enough for you for the whole day. They come back here to Israel around late spring, and they breed in the cliffs here. This bird is now known to be critically endangered species all over the world, mainly due to different reasons, but obviously man-made, probably electrocutions along the flyway, the migration route. In Israel, obviously, it's a protected species, as all the species shown in this talk. And the last one is this beautiful sooty falcon, Baz Shachor. These small raptors feed mainly on migrating birds. So it times the chick rearing season, the breeding season, so that when the chicks are born, when they hatch, it is peak migration season. So they have a lot of birds flying through. Also breeds only in the desert. It's not found, it doesn't breed elsewhere. And in Israel, we have a really strong population of birds, of sooty falcons. And in October, all of them just leave the country, all of them, and they migrate south to Madagascar and South Africa, Eastern South Africa, where they spend the winter, our winter, obviously it's summer there, mainly by just feeding on insects, flying insects. That's enough for them to survive. And then coming March, April, they start their migration back to Israel and other parts in North Africa and the Middle East, where they breed. In some places, actually, they breed in colonies on islands. All is well, Jay? Hearing and seeing properly?
Yes, sort of.
I'm sorry about that. There's not much I can do about that, but we'll just try. So
mention the 4 birding locations again, please, Mehdad. Everybody's asking. Here we go.
Which one?
No?
This one?
Yeah. I don't know. You mentioned 4 in the beginning. People keep asking about.
4 ones, 4.
Urim, Nitzana, Re'in Reservoir.
And the Psor
Sor
Reservoir. as well.
How do you spell that?
So you can basically it's Besor, Besor.
Right.
So yeah,
Besor.
Besor Wadi. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I suggest to just collect the questions and then once in a while.
Yeah, that came up a lot.
Okay.
But we really need to finish in about 5 minutes, Medad. I want to keep to our time frame.
All right. So we'll have to really be quick. These are the main sites to bird in the Negev. If we have to finish in 5 minutes, then I suggest that we quickly run through because it is just a bit longer.
Take 7 minutes.
7 minutes. Okay. So we continue to the south to the plateaus of the Western Negev, where we find mainly some of the ground birds, such as these hoopoe-larks, and hoopoe-lark is alemon in Hebrew, thick-billed lark, Froni av makor, tzchichanit, Temminck's lark, bar-tailed lark, Froni chachlili, and Froni arava, Dan's lark, or Arabian lark it's called today. These birds are really the reason why birders invest time in this area, because these are birds that are hard to see and quite rare in the region, and every birder just wants them. And another group is the whittiers. I just mentioned these 4 because these are 4 that attract birds. They attract birders. The 2 on the right are local birds: white-crowned black whittier, white-crowned black whittier, the salit shchorat beten, and hooded whittier, salit nezira. These breeds here, these 2, these ones are much rarer: the basalt whittier, salit bazalot, and the Kurdish whittier, which are found much. It's harder to see them. The basalt come every year almost from a population in Jordan probably, and the Kurdish come once in a while, not every year. So these are birds that sometimes are found in one spot. You can see all these species, and that's what really is so amazing about this area, that if you find a nice patch, you can find all these birds. The main sites are the Meishar, Wadi Tznifim, Uvda Valley. These are the main spots to find and locate these special birds. We go up to Chatzeva and or to the northern Arava. Chatzeva is very famous for this bird, for the Arabian bubbler, the Zanban Arabi, but also in some spots, and you probably need an experienced guide or someone who knows the area there to find this beautiful Arabian warbler. For me, it's beautiful. Some people might argue differently, but it's a special bird. It's almost an endemic subspecies to this region, and it's also endangered in the country because it needs mainly the healthy acacia savannas forest. Other birds that are found are this little green bee eater, or I didn't say the Hebrew name, Sivchi Shitim. This is the little green bee eater, Shakra Gamadi, and Namakwadov. This is the Torizan Vanit, also a beautiful bird. This is a male, but very easily found in these areas. And the prize is this Nubian Niger, a beautiful bird that is found in specific places. Very hard to see them. Also recommended to take a guide and make sure that it's all done properly. But it's one of the birds that people are seeking to see. So the best places to see them are Shizaf Reserve, Nekarot Reservoir, Neot HaKikar, and Wadi Arava. These are the places that you have these kind of birds. All the birds that we saw beside the Nubian Nigers, they need the acacia trees. And this is what the northern Arava area offers you. Nice, almost forest, or kind of a scattered forest of acacia trees. And then we're going, since we need to finish soon, then we want to always end on a low note. So no better place than the lowest place on Earth, the Dead Sea, the Judean Desert, where you find Tristram's grackles, for example. Although now you find them in other parts of the Negev, this is the best place to watch them. Sinai, Tristramit, by the way, Tristramit. Sinai rosefinch, Vardit Sinai, the bird that needs water as well. So if you are visiting there and you want to see them, obviously you can check what are the best places to see them. But if there's water, there's a better chance to see them. Males are pink and the females are brown. This is actually the national bird of Jordan, our neighbor to the east. Striated bunting, another bird that is quite typical for the Judean desert. Also not an easy bird to see, but when you get a close look at it, beautiful bird. And from the raptor side, this Barbary falcon, by the way, Gibton Midbar, I didn't see it, let's say it. Gibton Midbar, and this is the Barbary falcon, Baz Midbari, which is a subspecies of the peregrine that you probably know from America. This amazing hunter also can reach high speeds and feeds mainly on birds that he found. The strongest population of this bird is found in the Judean desert, in the cliffs of the Judean desert near the Dead Sea. And last but not least, this Bonelli's eagle, most critically endangered, I think, in Israel. Very, very small numbers, not much more than 10 pairs breed in the country, and most of them 10 to 15, depends what year. This bird suffers a lot from electrocutions, mainly in the north, not in the south, but these birds can go and travel huge distances when they don't breed, and therefore you can do a lot of effort in trying to protect the nest, but you never know what these birds doing. This is an eagle, a big bird of prey, not a typical eagle, but a big bird of prey that can also hunt birds, can hunt young mammals. And you can see the female here holding a branch that she takes to the nest and to build. Best places to see them are these southern Dead Sea reservoirs. There's a few places there where the birds come to drink, and sometimes they live there permanently, and it's a beautiful place to see. Ait Nitzi, by the way, this is Ait Nitzi, sorry I didn't mention it. Ein Bokek, Wadi Mishmar, Wadi Tze'elim, Ein Gedi, Ein Salvador, Ein Otsukim. You see there's quite a lot of places to see them, to see the birds and to visit each place. Is better for, it's good for different species. But the best time to come there is usually in spring, but it depends what you're after. And at the end of the good day, obviously we just finished quite a big trip around. We saw a lot of birds. Always good to do some sundown birding, nice eggplant on the fire. And then, Jay, do we have a couple of 3-4 minutes to see this movie?
We have a few questions. It's a 3-4 minute movie.
Yeah.
We'll go a couple minutes over, I guess, then, and we'll just answer a few questions very, very telegraphically.
Okay. All right. So I'll put the movie on.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
And then we'll just go right to questions.
Okay. This is a movie about one of the stars of the desert. If you don't read Hebrew, this is fine. That's the desert owl. Desert owl. We need to love.
Maybe turn down the volume a little bit and you can narrate easier.
Okay, so this is the desert owl, Elite Midbar. And it's a very, very special bird. It used to be considered to be a very rare bird in Israel, but a survey that was done by the SPNI in about more than 10 years ago, revealed that almost every big canyon in the Dead Sea holds a small population, depending on the size of the canyon, of this beautiful owl. This owl is the best place to see this in Israel. It's very difficult bird to find. What you see here is some footage of this first footage of a nest of breeding pair in Israel. See the chicks, quite bright brown chicks. They breed in the canyons. They feed on small mammals. See the rodents mainly. These are the two young birds. I remember that as a youngster, when I was in high school, some of the kids in high school in my stable care found family, more or less that age, not far from school, about an hour, about 45 minutes walk from my school, and we all went there to see it. This was, I think, the third breeding record of this bird in the world. Israel definitely, but in the world as well. Such hard it was to and obviously we keep it very, very close eye, and not a lot of people had the luck to see this bird. The SP and I, we organize trips to see it once a year. We get special permits from the nature park authorities to go and look for this bird at night, and it's a very, very special experience. Okay, maybe just before the question, just mention the drawings, the beautiful drawings that I put here are done by this guy, Bruce Pearson, who joined me in 2015 for 2 weeks almost of doing more or less what I just showed you and just drawing these birds and eventually coming up with a beautiful article in Birdwatch, an English magazine. So, yeah. I was asked also to mention this, Jay.
Thank you very much, Mehdad. And thank you so much, Alan Kessel, who's the director of the Jerusalem Bird Observatory, a must stop on anybody's tour, birding or otherwise. Alan has been doing back office, the other symbol of the chevra that you see on your screen as a panelist. She's been answering the questions and giving names of the birds in Hebrew and English. And yes, we promise in the future to either have them posted on the slides, or somebody suggested we send them in advance, so we will do that as well. Mehdad, we have 3 minutes if we're respecting the hour on the hour. A bunch of questions, still 180 people with us. Harry Schaefer asks, are you noticing any changes in kinds or numbers of birds this year with the worldwide weather extremes?
This year is it's very hard to answer that based on 1 year. What I can say is that we see much less birds from more or less from quite a lot of species than we used to see, let's say 20, 30 years ago.
Okay.
I don't know about this year. I don't. It's too early probably in the year to see that, but most of the birds that come here in autumn are still breeding in Europe. So migration hasn't started yet.
Right, but in general, you're seeing a decline in birds year to year that you're attributing at least partially to climate change, correct?
Yeah. Probably climate change. Obviously, it's
habitat loss.
I can only say that we see less birds.
Okay.
But it's not only climate change. I have to emphasize that it's not only climate change. There's a lot of reasons why birds decline.
Habitat loss and hunting and other reasons. We'll get to that. Sandra asks, are there, really quick answer, are there recordings of the sounds of birds to help identify them?
Yeah.
Where?
There's quite a few websites. Xenos, if you Google Xenos, Xenus, bird sounds. It's a brilliant website. You can find most of the birds of the world, I think. There's some apps as well.
Great, thanks. Michael Goodman asks, Mehdad, and I'll answer this. You can add to my answer if you'd like. Is hunting a common sport in Israel? So legal hunting is actually a sport in Israel. The Nature and Parks Authority give about 2,000 to 3,000 licenses a year. It's mostly to minority populations in Israel. Jews aren't really much of hunters. The really interesting good news is that we've been working for a ban on sport hunting. What we've succeeded in getting was a temporary ban on the turtle doves and the quails. Apparently the current minister of environment is going to try to make those temporary bans permanent. So we don't have positive news on that yet, but we're working against hunting as a sport in Israel. And of course, there's a lot of poaching, illegal hunting, and that's a problem. Mehdad, anything else?
Yeah. No, you're right. Not much.
Okay. Is the quail mentioned the one mentioned in the Bible, the Slav? Is it the same one?
Probably. There's some different, yeah.
Is there bird ringing activity in the Negev, especially for raptors?
Say it again?
Miroslav in Belgrade, I believe. Yes, Miroslav is with us every 2 weeks. Is there a bird ringing activity in the Negev, especially for raptors? And excuse me if you're from Sarajevo, Miroslav.
Regarding raptors, there is ringing activity in the Negev. There's a couple. There's in Yerucham and in Sde Boker. There's 2 ringing stations. But raptors, we don't really ring them just for the sake of ringing. If we do that, then it's special operations to ring and tag, and we tag vultures on a basically every year. So, but we don't just ring them. We tag them. We give them number tags so we can actually watch them from ground. We can take photos of the numbers. But we also place telemetry transmitters on them so we can follow. And we do that also with some of the endangered species of eagles, if it's Bonelli's eagles or golden eagle, and even some of the falcons.
Cool. Thank you. Michael Goodman asked also, who is the artist and was he interviewed a while on this program? I don't think he was. I think we have seen some of those beautiful drawings from before, but who is the artist, Mehdad?
The artist is Bruce Pearson. This one, Bruce Pearson. This is how you spell it. You can check it on the internet as well. He's one of the most talented painters I've seen. I spent a few weeks with him at sea in South Africa. So this is how I got to know him, and we kept in touch since. And then I managed to get some funds with the aid of Dan Alon, and the Ministry of Tourism managed to get some funds and bring him over. And we traveled through the Negev for, I think it was 10 days or 2 weeks together. And I just tried to find as many birds for him as possible. And he just drew and very, very
great.
Yeah, and he just gave most of the paintings for us to use as much as
great. Thank you. And final question so far in the question and answers. I don't know, there might be some more things in the chat. Avi, I haven't been following it. I don't know, Alen is answering them, I guess. But please, in the future, keep the questions. Well, Alen is so there and so on top of things, so that's great as well. But I hope we're not missing any questions. Last one we have here on the chat, or there might be a couple more. On the question answer is there a guide to the site mentioned with the coordinates available on the internet? I assume that's
okay. So it's not on the internet yet. You can't see me. Maybe I'll just stop sharing and then I can show you. All right. So, and I'll just start a video. Okay. This is see that? Go ahead. This is a map of the birding site of the Negev that we put together a couple of years ago. And it's all this information is found there, along with other information that helps you bird and travel in the Negev. And the plan is to put it on the web, so it will be available.
It'll be available on Birdlife Israel.
Yeah. It's going to take a while, but the plan is to make it basically available for online.
But if you get to Israel, if anybody's coming to Israel, they're in Israel, let us know and we can figure it out. Here you go. JBO, Alan writes that it's JBO in Jerusalem, right next to the Knesset.
And in Eilat as well.
Maps are available.
Yeah, if you get to Eilat in the shop, we also sell it there.
Great.
And in Sde Boker.
And Mehdad and Alan and all our experts are available to you guys all the time. Write to me. their emails are available as well. And we will hope to see you all in Israel. Medad, Alan, thank you very much for really, Medad, for really excellent presentation. Many people, I don't know if you're looking at the chats or the questions, but many people are saying, Sachtan, Kol HaKavod. It was very interesting. It's bringing people memories back of their birding in the Negev years and years ago. So we really appreciate that. Alan, really couldn't have done it without you here. Thank you for all the scientific background, and really both of you. Thanks so much. Avi, thank you for the background as well. The owls are very adorable, and as are so many of those birds. Learned about the national bird of Jordan. Thank you guys very much. Thank you in Toronto, New York, and all the points where our board members are so hardworking, and in the UK and in France and throughout the United States and Canada. So all of you guys, thanks so much. Thanks, Medad. Thanks, Alan. And we're signing off from Moshav Klachim. That is the corn cob Moshav in the Negev where Medad is broadcasting from. I grew up in a corn cob area of upstate New York, so I feel kindred, Medad. Alan, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Bye, Alan. Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks with Alan is here in 2 weeks with Jonathan, I believe. Yes? Or no, Noam is here in 2 weeks, I think. More birding. Keep checking your emails. Bye-bye.